So let's get started and begin with today's Daily Pearl. I don't know how many of you saw today's Pearl, but be very excited because you're going to get all 3 days. I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week has one theme in it that I wanted to cover on this call for you guys. And the question that with today's Pearl opens up with, how do you change a belief? How do you change a belief? Now, we heard it in the audio coaching system, the movie The Secret's another great way. There's any number of great ways to do this, but it's very powerful to put the emotion or the feeling in your body that you would have if the belief is true. And voila, rapidly the belief will change because we love to match up our emotional content. That is the lighter fluid. That is how we change. One of the ways that we change, but it's certainly an easy one, and it's one that you control. And when you put that emotion in your body, as I've said on other calls, the fake it till you make it, I am not a fan of. It does not have high integrity. You can't look at a checkbook that's at zero and fake being wealthy. Oh, I've got lots of money. Put it in present tense. Other speakers teach it that way. I don't agree with that. What you can believe, though, is putting the emotions of wealth in your body. And really what these 3 days of pearls are about is, well, putting an emotion in my body that's not congruent with my state. I don't feel good about that. And that's what the next point says. For those of you that struggle with this and say or think that you can or you don't know how to do this, how often do you put anxiety or worry into your body? Doggone it. Pick up the right color pen there. Put anxiety or worry in your body even when the likelihood is remote that your fear will come true. You know how to put future emotions in your body. So you can put the emotion of wealth in your body. You can put the emotion of love in your body. You can put these emotions in your body. And now it's not fake it that I'm, putting emotions of wealth in my body and saying my checkbook is full. What you get to say when you put the emotion in your body, you feel wealthy, then you can think wealthy thoughts and it has a congruency, and you can say things like, I know everything I need to know to change my current circumstances. I have all the power and capability. I may not have every answer, but I'm solving my life. I'm on fire. I'm moving forward. I'm the man. I'm the woman that can get this done. And this is a function of putting that future emotion in your body. Now, I generally still have a lot of people that wrestle with this. And so tomorrow's Pearl is going to ask this question. If you were teaching a child a great strategy for handling a future event that is important to them, would you ever say to them, oh, dear child, what you need to do is put stress and anxiety and worry in your body and imagine all the possible worst outcomes and then plan for them, or maybe even hope, hope that they don't occur, that something's going to happen. Whatever you do, don't get excited at the endless possibilities. Don't get excited about how it might turn out. Why? Because if you do that, dear child, that's only going to lead to disappointment. I want you to think about it. It doesn't make any sense when you hear it that way, does it? But how many of you, and again in this counterintuitive world of neural patterns, that when the anxiety, because the challenge is high, because the risk is high, that you're busy trying to not get your hopes up that life's going to fix it, or that you are in fact the man or the woman. The emotions that you choose to put in your body, the lighter fluid that you choose to put, is worry and anxiety and fear. And you do it all because if you were to put excitement in your body, hope in your body, joy at the challenge, at the growth, at the opportunity, oh, you might get disappointed if it doesn't turn out your way. And so you don't do it. Would you ever say, my dearest child, what you need to do is put stress and anxiety and worry and imagine all the worst outcomes and then plan for them and hope that they don't occur. But don't get excited, because that leads to disappointment. That just sounds stupid, doesn't it? So that's tomorrow's pearl, and it wraps up on Wednesday with this pearl and this truth, and I want you to think about this. So I introduce it like all good authors and radio talk show hosts. This is called a reset strategy, because maybe somebody hasn't read Monday or Tuesdays. The last two daily pearls have been how we forecast worry for the future as our real strategy, and the more challenging the future is, the more we worry. So yesterday's to a child's advice replay. So yesterday's advice to a child ends when he or she asks us in response. So when we put these fears and concerns in our bodies for a possibly disappointing future, how often does the worst actually happen? And this is the comedy of this. This is how dumb this is. And you reply, oh, that's the beauty of this strategy. Because we do this, this is how we avoid disappointment. Because we worry is why the worst rarely happens. And you can see my dismay there. Really? Really? And you sit there and look at this and you go, well, of course this makes sense. Of course this makes sense. I'd never tell a child to live their life that way. I'd never tell a child, oh yeah, that's the beauty of anxiety and fear and worry. Because when we do that and we plan for the worst outcome and we don't get our hopes up, then the worst rarely happens to us. And if it does, we're prepared for it. Really? Do you want somebody you love and care about growing up that way? And the question becomes, so what does this all mean for you today? What future are you trying to create? You know, what emotions do you choose to put into your body? You know, what's the focus? You know, is it the fear? Is it the avoid disappointment? You know, because you believe that somehow changes the worry and somehow that brings a solution to you? Really? That's not make any sense when you hear it this way, does it? When you're busy putting this crap in your body and in your thoughts and in your approach to your reality, to your life, that's why this is the way it often works out for those people. The top 10% we know puts joy, puts love, puts excitement, puts growth, puts an amazing future into everything that they're doing. And then they believe and hope and work towards and focus on. And that's the difference between the top 10% and the other 90%ers. They are not busy following dumb strategies. And when you hear it that way, when you experience it that way, when you think about, and I want you, if you're a worrier, and I know just about everybody on this call, if you're a worrier, if you put anxiety, if you put stress, if you're not living a joyous life right now about your challenges, you're missing the boat. You're missing what this audio coaching system, what the Inevitable You has a promise to you to help you embrace and dig into and go deep and find your potentiality, find your greatness, find a new reality for you. because it's how you think about it. It's how you feel about it. It's what you focus on that makes your life come alive. So this old strategy that, and again, I know the ones on this call that are always worried about crap. Stop it. Don't teach anybody this. Figure out. And that's what today's call about. So if you're going to change all of a sudden, if you're going to put new feelings in your body, if you're going to use new mental software, it amazes me that I talk all the time about Windows 61, turning that to Windows 2012. It's one of my staples. It's one of the most important, most powerful gifts this system has to offer. Yet, do you realize how rarely somebody says, well, how the heck do you do that? I don't know how to write Windows 2012. If you put the emotions in your body of a future you, the emotions will write the software. They'll attract the thoughts. They'll find the resources. They'll connect the dots. They will empower the neural nets that you use that will make this an incredible process. So that is today's content. I hope you take it to heart. Listen to this webinar a number of times. Ask any great questions. I've got a lot of mics to open up, so what I'm going to ask you to do, I'll check in with you once. We're going to begin with Jeff here in a moment. And if any point in time, because I'm now looking over at my dashboard, if you want to raise your hand, I'll unmute your mic and you can pop up with a question. Otherwise, now's a great time to ask a question to really make this come to life for you. If you don't have a question, that's also great. I'm not trying to make sure that anybody has to create a question when they don't have one, but now's the time to really, with the springtime coming, this great weather coming, now's the time to light the lamp and really open your life up. Jeff, do you have any questions?
Well, Bill, as part of this new psychology, as part of the old psychology, I've been trying to understand a little bit about some of the old programs and figuring out how I got to where I am and some of the things I'm thinking. Are you suggesting with the new psychology today that you just drop it and move on and accept this new method?
You have two choices, and it's really about an 80-20 rule. This is one of the few exceptions to the 90-10. About 80% of my clients, when they really understand and say, you mean I just, no 4-year-old. I always go back to these powerful little 4-year-olds. No 4-year-olds try and figure out the mistake they made yesterday. They just shrug their shoulders and they go on to tomorrow. They live for today. They're just new every day. You have the ability to do that. Unfortunately, 10%, they are the thinkers. They are the analyzers. They drive themselves crazy. Because when they hear the new tool, they go, oh, well, this makes so much sense. Why didn't I know this before? Well, I've heard something like this and I didn't use it. What's wrong with me that I didn't use it? And they think they're crazy until they go solve the problem and figure it out. And hey, it's everybody's karma. If you want to focus on the past to glean any lessons from it, certainly mine all the lessons that there are to lesson. But don't work on the past to verify how stupid and crappy and bad you've been. Look at the past to take the lesson out of it, to take the solution out of it, to figure out why and what and how from a value-based perspective, not from what's wrong. And if you take the value from it, that's not analysis and paralysis. You take the value, you declare it a victory, and you move on. And if for some reason you miss something there, oh, you and the universe will co-conspire to create it again. It's not that we don't occasionally bump back into old mistakes, but 90% of the time we don't. 90% of the time we're moving along, we're on a higher part, different part of the mountain. We're climbing, our adrenaline is flying, we're in a new psychology. Live that, focus on that. Spending any time in the past, particularly beyond any value-based phase, is really just a strategy to stay stuck. And we had a pearl a week or two ago that says you cannot be stuck. It's impossible. You have to choose inertia. You choose to stay there. You don't get stuck. It's not like I am stuck. We use that expression a lot, and I just used it. But in the reality is it's not stuck. It's a choice. We don't want to go forward. So focus on the solution. Focus on the value of what the old you did, and then you can move on and celebrate a new future. Does that answer your question, Jeff?
Yeah, I think so, Bill. The only reason I'm giving it any consideration is I want to recognize it sooner and stop it quicker. And I notice I think I'm starting to understand what running the old programs is. So,
perfect.
But I think, like you said, you've said many times, face your fear, embrace it, move on.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm muting you back. Joe, do you have any questions? Joe Chris.
Yeah, actually I do. First of all, can you hear me, Bill?
I can.
Bill. Okay. Yeah, I just want to know, why is it so easy to put the negative emotions in my body and to worry about those all the time, and how do I get better at putting in the positive future emotions that I want?
It's a learned helplessness, Joe, and it's not learned helplessness because your family of origin was evil or stupid. Someone taught them. But for instance, I've done some work in the Tony Robbins world, as you guys know. The Fiji culture, where one of his weeks are contained some of the time, is a very happy, enjoyable culture. They don't think about problems the way we do. Think of our puritanical, historical American roots. Other developed nations, you know, whether it's China, whether it's Asia, Pac Rim countries, whether it's Europe, we are unique in how vociferously and energetically we beat ourselves up. It is a cultural and a long historical American value to beat the crap out of yourself, work really hard, and hopefully, you know, if you don't get some solace in this life, you'll get it in the next, because you were born a sinner, you got sin on your head, you've got all these problems. Focus on the problems, problems, and it comes from a family of origin. I promise you 10%. 10%. I mean, you think, well, that's not very big, but if we're, you know, 400 million people, 40 million people don't think this way. They focus on the solution. They put a smile on their face. They put joy in their body. When it doesn't work out, they go, oh, well, it's going to work out tomorrow. And think about how many people criticize them and beat them up and go, oh, you're just a Pollyanna. You're never going to be great. You're never going to be serious because you are not mired in problems. We think it's a way to solve for things. It is a way, and hopefully in that second to third pearl, when you look at, oh, yeah, little child, this makes a lot of sense, because when you put worry and anxiety in your body, that's why bad crap doesn't happen to you. Again, it sounds stupid when you hear it that way. I hope it sounds stupid. But the reality is that many people will get off this call, and if they have a crisis tonight, they're going to start worrying about it, because they're going to fall back into an old pattern and program and go, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. If it's an easy problem or a small challenge or growth, they'll go, well, maybe I'll try what I learned in my audio coaching system, or I learned in some of my coaching. I'll try and put joy and love and excitement in my body and manifest a great solution for myself. And then, like, wow, this crap really works. It's a learned helplessness, Joe. And God bless the people that taught you, because somebody taught them and taught them and taught them. There's no 4-year-olds on this planet that operate this pattern. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. I have a written question here. Let me read it to you. If we are fearful unconsciously about making whatever shift we need to do in order to achieve greatness, how do we break through that limitation or belief and make it stick? One, you've got to put the emotion in your body that's already in the solved arena. So focusing intellectually on a solution and emotionally still feeling like a loser, or, things still could go wrong. It still could be a disaster. That is only going to engage the neural networks that are aligned with and congruent with the fact that, no, you're not powerful enough to break out of this cycle, that you're still going to be and have a problem. So again, it's so important to put that emotion in your body. Secondly, let me get a new page up here. Secondly, when you look at the, solution versus problem-based world, you have to ask yourself, what am I focused on? Do I see this? Do I feel this? Do I experience this? Do I believe this is really going to happen to me? Or more likely, is it, do I see the problem? Do I worry about the problem? I'm not sure that I'm really the guy or the girl that can do this. Or, what if I can't? What if I'm wrong? What if I don't? And then we get to run a little meter. We're going to look at a clock. And for every minute you spend over here versus a minute you spend over here, we can start adding up. Okay, I spent an hour this morning thinking on the solutions of my life. Oh, I went to work and there's disasters and problems. And, oh, I had a call with my spouse and, we gave each other a pep talk. Oh, bad email just came in. Oh, it's a disaster. Oh, this isn't going to happen. I can't do this. Oh, what's good? And again, the emotion is the fuel. You've got to put the emotion over here. You've got to connect to the solution over here. Every second that you fight and fight and fight to stay here versus every second that you get drug over here in a learned pattern is when these equations are going to flip. If that answers the question, great. If not, you can add something to that typed one. Mike, I've got you unmuted. Do you have any questions? Mike? I'm going to leave your mic open for a second. Oh, do you have any questions, okay, Mike?
No, the questions have been good. I got a lot to think about.
All right, you the man, Mike. Can't wait to see you and Carol this week.
Right.
All right, Eric, any questions?
No, but the that solution versus problem focus just really hit home with me. I mean, I was sitting here chuckling as you were going in and explaining it. It's the irony of me being a solution provider at my job, and yet when it comes time to solve the problems at home or getting out of the job and working on my own, I'm focused on the problem. I'm not focused on the solution. So again, this was huge because light bulb came on, and all I really have to do, and it's not any big thing that I hadn't really considered or been working on, was just focus on the solution and like you said, put the positive emotions in. And again, none of this is rocket science, and it's just we fight it so hard sometimes. It's absolutely ridiculous when it finally does make sense.
Well, the good news The good news is if this is the moment and you're having some other shifts, don't even look back, man. Just get on your bike and throw those trike and training wheels away and just ride, brother. Just ride.
Enjoy the freedom.
Yep.
I hear
Thank
you.
you.
Awesome.
All right, guys. I don't see any other hands raised. I enjoyed the call today. It was a pleasure being able to serve you guys. Enjoy the next couple of days. You can always forward those pearls on to people that you care about. You can always get this webinar and download it and share it with people that you care about. Always a pleasure to serve you. Everybody take care. Have an awesome Monday and enjoy your week. I'll talk with you later.